Welcome to the Let's TikTok About Algorithms panel. My name is Megan Hemenway, and I will be the moderator for this session. This panel is presented by the NILAC grant, which is the News and Information Literacy Across the Curriculum grant, which allows faculty and students to spread awareness about issues within the mass media, such as misinformation and media manipulation. This session was put together by myself and 4 other student leaders, Zach Gagne, Kylie Breen, Seth Rawls, and Allie Hastings. So for this session, we'll be hearing from 3 local influencers about their experiences on social media. We'll cover Influencing 101, the complex nature of algorithms, and how mis and disinformation affect your daily lives. So without further ado, let's welcome our 3 panelists. Jules Work is a junior digital media film major with a minor in photography. Her first experience with the following on a social media platform started in mid-2019 after she started posting comedic videos of her cats on TikTok. At first, she would make jokes with her cats using whatever trends were popular at the time, but when TikTok added a text-to-speech feature, she saw an opportunity to make videos of her cats talking to each other, and that's when her platform really took off. After posting these text-to-speech videos daily, Jules doubled her following in less than 2 weeks. She now has almost 700,000 followers and over 30 million total likes. She's done sponsorships including Blue Buffalo, some pet toy brands, and pet feeder products. Having this social media presence has been huge because many internships she's looking at involve social media. So being able to put on her resume that she knows how to acquire and interact with a large online following has made her stand out and given her new opportunities. Next up, we have Emily Rayna. She's an interior design content creator from New Hampshire. She's 23 years old and graduated from Endicott in 2020 with a bachelor's degree in interior design. She made her start on TikTok during the pandemic by using her education to renovate her parents' home. Since then, she's continued sharing renovations, DIY tutorials, and other interior design content daily to a combined social audience of over 5.7 million people. In the past 2 years, she's had the opportunity to work with countless home brands and influencers, travel the country as a host, speak on talk shows, and more. Her goal with her platform is to make good design more accessible for everyone, regardless of the resources available to them. And lastly, Foster White majors in digital media filmmaking and has been using YouTube as his main platform for 9 years. At first, he created videos on his personal account, Foster the Person, where he made mixtapes, comedy sketches, and story times that gained some popularity among his friends and peers. In the past year or so, Foster has created a new channel dedicated to gaming, and specifically a card game called Four Souls, where he's found a niche community. His videos have been very popular, and with a new game expansion coming, he looks forward to making more content. Foster is also familiar with TikTok and Twitch streaming. So, let's get into the questions. We're going to start with influencing. So the first question is, how sustainable has social media been for you as a career?
Is it working? Okay. Mine like relies on my cats, so unfortunately they won't live forever.
Oh.
But, and I go to school here, I live in Virginia, so I definitely don't rely on TikTok for my only income, but it is fun because sometimes I don't have to put that much work into it, and I can just, my cat will roll over and I'll get like 200,000 likes. So, but sometimes there's videos that I work, that I think are really funny and I work hard on, and it gets not as nearly as much as I would like it to. So it's really hit or miss for me.
I think with social media, like, it's as sustainable as you want it to be. So for me, like, career-wise, it is my career, and so it's my full-time job at this point. And as far as like how lucrative it is beyond anything that I could have done with my degree beforehand. And sustainability, I think, comes from how much work you want to put into it. I think it has a lot to do with finding the right people to help you know how to turn it into a career, because if I was just posting social media content on my own and didn't have like a team of people who swept me up and helped me figure out how to make it lucrative, then I would not know how to do that, and I would have taken a few free interior design home goods and moved on with my life. So it's definitely something that you need to kind of learn about and kind of find a team of people to help you turn it into something. But once you have that built, then it can be a lifelong career that keeps growing with different avenues and things beyond social media.
Yeah, so for me, it's not a career for me. Not really that close to being one either. But I think that, like, apart from that, it's for sure just taught me a lot that can give me like different sides of like job opportunities and stuff like that, which is gonna be helpful, and it has been recently. So that's what it is for me, at least.
In a similar vein, if you guys could go into more detail, Foster and Jules, specifically about how your experience with social media has like affected your career opportunities or internships or anything.
Yeah, so right now I just like raced back here because I had an interview with a internship that it's this, and this is like kind of, I think because I've like grown up on YouTube being my like main platform, like even from just regular television, and so like I've always been like, oh, I want to work for, because like you look at these like giant YouTubers and influencers and you think to yourself like, oh, I can't believe that one person is doing this entire operation. But often, especially when it's like these bigger kind of channels, it's not just one person. There's like there's a social media team, there's a blah blah editing, all this stuff. And so I've always wanted to kind of work beside like on like either a podcast or a YouTube channel or like Twitch streams or something like that. So this one YouTuber that has a decent amount of like a decent following, I was in contact with, and then I just met up with them today, and for sure my knowledge in YouTube and somewhat the algorithm for sure helped with, hopefully, I mean, I don't know, he didn't say I got it, but we're hoping for the best. So yeah.
So just this week I had an experience that my social media had an impact on career-wise. I applied for a concert photography internship at a venue in Virginia near me, and the cover letter and everything was based solely on the photography one, but my TikTok is on my resume, which I think feels so weird, but they told me to put it on. And they got back to me and they said that I'd actually be good for the social media, multimedia internship that they're doing. So I have an interview for that on Friday, and I might not have stood out to them at all if I hadn't had that on my resume. So
Awesome. And so what is one piece of advice that you would give to those who are interested in gaining a social media following?
Sure.
Yeah, true.
I think gaining a social media following cannot have a point to it unless it's something that you can do long term. I think anyone can post a video that gets a lot of views at once and then it's just over. So I think if you're wanting to start a career in social media or post anything, you need it to be something that you're genuinely interested in and are willing to put a lot of time into, because otherwise you're just going to burn out. You're not going to want to post anymore, and it's going to be all of that work for nothing. So I think my number one recommendation is definitely to just make sure that you're sharing content that is something that you're willing to continue doing potentially for the rest of your life if you start. So.
For me, like I was talking about, I think TikTok is the weirdest algorithm of any social media I've had. And it's like probably the easiest to go viral, in my opinion. Like I have so many friends that have a random video that's gone viral on TikTok. But I think if you're aiming to gather a following, just what other viral TikTok you made, lean towards that genre or like comedic style that you're going towards, and don't maybe repost videos if you thought that they were hilarious or something and they didn't do well, because it's weird. I've posted videos, the same video again a different day, and it got like way more views than the first time. So it's very hit or miss with what you're doing, but I think the algorithm is good enough that it'll take you to people who would be interested in that topic with whatever you're doing. So it could be the most niche thing, and TikTok will find an audience that would be interested in what you're doing.
I would say probably like the main thing would be like consistency, like trying to upload on a consistent basis. And I completely agree with what you said about like make sure it's something you care about as well. I've also seen like stuff that's like for instance, like I went viral on TikTok one time, and I got like 1.5 million views, and then I was like, oh, this is my moment. This is like I'm gonna be like God after this. Like, and I was like, maybe like I did my hand at that. I'm done with that barrel. I'm gonna go in this way. And just for sure, I should have stuck with the barrel. The barrel was great. And so like, there's like been influencers that I've seen that are like, this one influencer got famous off of doing this one dance. And he did this dance, got millions of views for months. And then he's like, this dance isn't who I am. And so he started doing other stuff. And his channel completely fell off. And it's like, if you go viral for like one specific thing, and like, it could be so specific. Like another guy, he just makes this face. At random parts of his video, he just does this like weird face, and then he's like, I'm not gonna do that anymore, and then pow, his channel just fell off, and then he started doing it again, his channel blew up again. So I for sure would say, with whatever made you viral, stick with it, because that's the goal. It went viral for a reason. So
Awesome. So Jules mentioned algorithms, so let's get into more algorithm-based questions. If you don't know, an algorithm is a mathematical tool often used in computers that follows a very specific set of rules to calculate data. In terms of social media, algorithms are often used to choose the content that appears on your screen. So for example, TikTok has a very strong algorithm, as Jules mentioned, that determines the content you do or do not see. So this is usually referred to as your For You page. Whatever comes up on your For You page is totally personalized and curated to whatever you like the most, whatever you watch the most. So in that vein, what has been your experience with algorithms, both as a user of social media and as a creator?
I guess I'll go first. User-wise, still trying to figure it out. It's kind of hard with like YouTube and especially TikTok, because I mean, more YouTube now. I found this, as Megan said, I found this card game that I'm absolutely infatuated with, and there are no YouTubers or creators making anything on it, and so I'm the only one on YouTube really making content on it. And so because of that, everyone who's interested in Four Souls, really, if they want to see anything recent that wasn't like 2 years ago, they would either come to my channel or this one other smaller channel, but it's really us too. And so when it comes to like algorithms with that, like it's really like I would post my content on like the subreddit, that like the Four Souls subreddit, and then a lot of traffic would come through there. And then like the longer people watch the content, like watch time, the more likely, in my experience, the video will be pushed out to other like reference pages and stuff like that on YouTube. And then with Twitch is kind of, I've done like a few Twitch streams during the summer, and Twitch is the most simple algorithm there is, which is just, if you have viewers on your Twitch stream, your content will just be pushed to the very top. So like if you're playing Minecraft and you had like 4 viewers, no shot anyone's gonna find your channel. But if you were playing Minecraft and you had like 700 viewers, you'd be closer to the top when people would search Minecraft, and then they would just click on your thing.
From my experience, TikTok is the algorithm. Like no other app really compares to TikTok. So if you're trying to have a social media footprint, then you need a TikTok. It just is so amazing at putting your content to the people who want to actually see it. And like I have a team at TikTok, and we have strategy meetings, and it really does come down to watch time. Is that all the app wants is for people to be on the app for a long time. So it doesn't matter how long your content is, it just needs to have that hook, and it needs to have some sort of story or something that will make people watch all the way through the video, and then it'll just keep getting pushed. They just want to see people being on the app, really. And I guess other platforms like Instagram and YouTube are just not nearly as advanced as TikToks, and a lot of people get their following on Instagram and YouTube from their TikTok specifically, but Yeah, I would just say mainly you just want to focus on having that grab at the beginning of your video that makes people interested to continue watching.
I agree with how TikTok's algorithm is definitely the best out of any other platform you could get viral on, because it's the way they do it is just different with the For You page. You don't see only people that you follow, and it just like guesses, and it's really good at guessing, and that's why it's so addictive, because you never see something you're not interested in, and you just see random stuff and you get more interested in random things. And I've noticed that with like Instagram stuff, a lot of them, other social medias, are like trying to copy what TikTok is doing with like Instagram Reels. It's basically exactly TikTok just on Instagram, and it still doesn't compare to TikTok's algorithm.
And so do you feel like algorithms are more likely to help or to hurt you, both as a creator and as a viewer?
I think it could help because it knows exactly what audience to give your platform to, and like mine is pretty vague. A lot of people like cats, so it'll just know where to lead it to. But I think also if you have a really specific kind of content you're making too, it'll know who to bring it to as well. I think it can hurt, not necessarily hurt, but not do the good that some people think it does, because I've noticed that I've seen a lot of videos about like important topics like news and stuff that's going on today, and it'll get like 3 million likes, and you think that it's like important in sharing this information with people, but it always goes to people who would already be in support of whatever topic they're talking about. So it's not really spreading information to people who need it, because the algorithm's not good. So yeah, I think that could be a problem.
I think like in the creative realm, at least like the interior design sector where I am, I think the algorithm is incredible at getting your stuff out there, and I think it has a lot to do with niches at this point, and it's a lot more difficult to become a social media personality per se, and it's also a lot less sustainable because people can get sick of you, and that's just the reality of life. But if you're in some sort of like educational sector of the internet, then people never get sick of that. People never get sick of seeing home decor. People never get sick of learning about, I don't know, whatever that specific topic is. So if you're a creator that's based in that type of topic, then it's something that will continue to be pushed out no matter if you're having a lull or anything like that. If you share content that is within that niche, then it will be shown to new people who are interested in that niche. So I think for that purpose, the algorithm is amazing at getting information out there, because it will only go to the people who are interested in it, and it will continue being pushed to more people who are interested in that topic as time progresses, if you're in a niche, if that makes sense.
I think when it comes to YouTube, the YouTube algorithm, I've nearly only seen it be like a detriment to smaller creators, because it's nearly impossible for smaller creators on YouTube specifically to try to get yourself out there. Like from freaking the years I've been on YouTube, I hear from the years I've been on YouTube, I hear from like these Q&As from these influencers and stuff talk about like, oh, like the question would be like, what would you give as a recommendation to get your start on YouTube? And all of them would be like, I don't know. I got lucky and now I'm here. And so it's like, especially like with my original channel, Foster the Person, like I would make commentary videos, I would make comedy sketches, and like on YouTube at that time, that was like the main thing that was on YouTube. And so like YouTube versus TikTok in that sense, like you can be a nobody and have like a hilarious take on a current event, and then you'd be like boosted in the algorithm, versus if you're on YouTube, there's like so many people that do it better than you're doing. And so like why would YouTube push your tiny video versus anyone else's? And so I think for the YouTube side of it, I think it's incredibly hard for a small creator to be put up to the levels that, or the viewership that you can get through TikTok.
I also think, like, to add on to that, I think the reason for that, also beyond just like algorithmic success of TikTok, is because TikTok is like forcing content down your throat. Essentially, you enter the app and it's there, and it's not like you're searching on TikTok necessarily how to do this or videos about this. It's like it knows you're gonna like it, so it puts it there. And I think that's different from Instagram or YouTube, where if you want to see a type of content, you have to go search it up and then sit through a long video or go scrolling through all the different hashtags to find the content you're looking for. Whereas with TikTok, it's like it's right there and you can't get away from it. So I think that's why growth on TikTok is so easy, and I think that's why the algorithm is so strong, because you can get your information out there without people having to actually want to see it, if that makes sense.
Can I say one more thing as well? So like another thing, like for instance with like the commentary videos, most of the huge commentary channels right now is like Cody Ko, Danny Gonzalez, and Drew Gooden. Those are like really the top commentary channels on YouTube right now. And the reason for that, you like those three, for instance, like they didn't just get lucky on YouTube, but they originated on Vine, which is pretty much TikTok from years ago. And so once Vine shut down, they're like, we're going on YouTube, follow us on YouTube. And so they got this boost of like views from Vine to go onto YouTube for them to build their career. And it's like, no one's gonna be looking up on YouTube like funny sketches and like stuff like that, you know? And so it's exactly like that. Like if you would wanna like have content like sketches or commentary videos out there, like really the only chances of that, of you getting viewership outside of like pulling stuff in from TikTok or pulling like viewers in from Instagram, is really just either complete luck for my instance, or people just looking up commentary videos or sketches, which absolutely no one has ever done before.
So in your experience, is there a key to beating the algorithm? So in other words, is it possible to kind of use the algorithm to your advantage or work around it if it's hindering you?
So in my instance with my Four Souls channel, with my card channel, I've had two instances happen before, or I mean, one is like there's a, like for my YouTube channel alone, I have a few hundred followers on it, or subscribers on it. And so there's really, like, again, there's no real, like, no one's really making content on this before, or like in the recent years. And so like you wouldn't even, like my channel wouldn't really even get recommended under anything, because like all the content that people would watch is from 2 years ago, and who's doing that, right? And so for instance, for me, there's like the Four Souls subreddit that has, and like on Reddit there's, if you know it, it's like Reddit's this thing that has like these forums, and you can talk about like your little areas and niches. And so Four Souls subreddit has about 11,000 people that are consistently on it. And so I always would post my video onto the subreddit, and I would get the majority of all of my views would come from the Four Souls subreddit. And then another instance was that I've gotten my videos retweeted by, and like I've had this goal of trying to get the creator of the game, Edmund McMillan, to retweet my content, because no one's making videos on your game, man. I'm the one doing it for you. And I finally got him to, and I got like an influx of like, because he has like thousands and thousands of followers, and so I've got an influx from Twitter from that. And so I'm gonna keep trying to beat that horse.
I think to beat the TikTok algorithm, like I mentioned earlier, it has a lot to do with getting a hook to your content. I found personally that having your face in the beginning of your video is something that people are drawn to, because they like to see other humans. They don't necessarily want to see something random. I think there's a lot of science that goes behind it. There's a lot of studies and statistics and everything, but I think at the very beginning of your start on social media, I think quantity is really important. Posting a lot so that your content has the opportunity to get out there. And I think also just beyond that too is, if you want it to be something that's consistently beating the algorithm and bringing new people onto your platform, then it needs to be content that is worth staying for. So if you're just posting like really random content that will get views in different niches, then nobody's going to follow you. They're just going to watch your video and you'll get some likes and that's it. But building an audience and getting past that algorithm has a lot to do with providing something to the people that you're making content for in some way, shape, or form, whether it's educational or just like exciting or something like that, but it has to all make sense together so that they want to stick around.
I think it's interesting that you mentioned that having your face at the beginning of the video helps, because I think that's the exact opposite for me.
Oh, really?
Because they just care about my cats, and I don't blame them.
Or your cat's face.
Yeah, but I've posted some videos where I'm talking in the beginning of it, and I'm explaining a video that's about to happen with my cat, and I think they just see my face and scroll away because they just want to see the cats. So I think it just depends on what you do and who your audience is. So for me, sometimes I post random videos of just me talking about some like album or something that I want to talk about, and a lot of times my own followers will like engage with it and it's fun, but there's always some kid that's like, we want to see your cat. It always happens. But I think if you want to beat the algorithm, it could just like continue doing what you're doing, but I don't think it's a bad idea to try something different in the same like genre of what you're doing. So like for me, I still make cat videos, but when the text-to-speech feature came out, I immediately knew that I had to make them start talking to each other, and that gained a lot of traction and attention. So I get video or comments a lot telling me when the next bestie video is, because that's what, because my cats are like, hey bestie. But yeah, I think just try new things, but keep it in the same genre of your main audience.
Great. My mom loves videos where animals say, hey bestie, so. So let's move on to misinformation. So misinformation is knowledge that is false or untrue. When inaccurate information is spread purposely, that is called disinformation. Both forms appear often on the internet and social media specifically. So what kinds of information do you guys come across in your niche of social media? And where does it occur? Does it occur in posts, comment sections, reposts, etc.?
Do you say information or disinformation?
Either, mis or dis.
I get a lot of my news on like pop culture from TikTok. There are so many like kinds of TikTok that are just for like one artist or one band or something, and I learn a lot about like shows or movies or stuff based on that. And there are definitely some about like current events and stuff, but I think those can be not the most reliable. But I get so much of my information on like Taylor Swift on TikTok. I just did a whole project on it for my research methods class. But I think there's a lot of information of any topic you could think of, you could find it on TikTok.
So for disinformation, there's disinformation in every single niche of the app. I think specifically in the interior design realm, a big factor that goes into disinformation is people just wanting an extreme transformation for views. So a lot of the time, me watching it as someone with experience in design, I'll watch someone installing a product that I know is not high quality and maybe is not really done up and they don't show the edges of the video or stuff like that, and they're just trying to get those views or trying to get people to like their video, save their video because they want to do that in their own house and make it look like that on a budget. Sometimes people lie about their budgets. I've seen that too when I've purchased the same things, and there's disinformation like all over the place, but people do it because they don't always have much else to offer, and they want something that is astounding that people will want to watch. So I think it will just always continue to be a thing, so it's just something that people have to look out for.
Yeah, I mean, I get most of my news in general through any type of like Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube. And disinformation-wise, I usually, there's a few like, and this was, I don't really follow them as much anymore, but there's a few like channels on YouTube that are devoted to talking about drama and news throughout the YouTube community as a whole. And so probably the largest one, his name was Keemstar. And Keemstar's videos were completely like devoted to, and he was like the largest one, but his videos were like these like insane thumbnails, like Gabby Hanna slapped this person, and then like he had an interview with Gabby Hanna, and she's like, I slapped him, I don't know what I did, blah, blah, blah. And then like a day would go by and people would be like, yeah, that never happened actually. And so like his whole channel and reputation is built on just these lies, these complete lies, and sometimes they were the truth. But like there would be these lies, and he knew exactly what he was doing, because even though it was completely false, he was such a huge channel and such a huge creator that like what was going to happen to him? Like YouTube wasn't, it was just like a slap on the wrist, and they're like, don't do that again. And then he just did it over and over. And so then like the situation was like that he would, like this big YouTuber would tell a lie, and then these other smaller YouTubers would be like, this guy told a lie, isn't that crazy? And then which would just push more people to watch that original video, which would just push that narrative of this lie that some people know it's a lie and some people don't. And so that's kind of my take on the YouTube side of it, at least.
And going off of that, how do you think that algorithms could potentially push misinformation or disinformation on social media?
Oh, yeah, so like for instance, with just that example, like Keemstar was the cream of the crop, he was the top guy, and so like there were, just like how with anyone else, like you see like the top cat video person, and like all these other cat videos and channels want to replicate it because you see something that's successful, you want to try to replicate it. And so like all these smaller news channels would be like, Keemstar was telling this lie, which would then push people to see the original video, which then would, because of like watch time and stuff like that, that original video that has all this misinformation in it would just be pushed up through and like pushed to new people and stuff like that. So that's more the YouTube side of it.
I think for TikTok, they don't have a gauge for misinformation. It's not something that the algorithm stops. They have different gauges for harmful content, and a lot of times, even if your videos aren't harmful, they'll go under review for a while. I know mine do before they even end up posting, but they don't have anything that filters misinformation. So misinformation thrives because it's controversial, and people will either be watching it and be like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing, this amazing after effect or this amazing news that you're sharing, and so they'll interact with the video. Or otherwise, if it is something that's clearly false information, then it'll still get the comments because people want to fight about it, and so it'll still get pushed in the algorithm. So it's something that there's no vet process for. So I think it's just going to continue to thrive. But again, it's not sustainable. You need to build an audience that trusts you if you want anything in social media. So
yeah, I think the algorithm definitely doesn't try to stop anything that's just straight up wrong. A lot of people just spread misinformation as not necessarily harmful, but like just for fun. Like I saw a video of Hank Green talking about a TikTok comment that said that Barnes & Noble and Ben & Jerry's were by the same person, and he totally believed it, and he made a video about that, and I thought it was funny. But there's also definitely some more harmful misinformation that the algorithm's just like, that's fine. But at the same time, there's stuff that's like completely harmless, and they don't let it get anywhere on the algorithm. That's like one of the only flaws I've noticed about the TikTok algorithm, is like it'll put stuff up for review that's just like my cat rolling over. But it just depends.
Yeah.
Can I say one more thing? So just one other thing, like with like history of YouTube type of thing, there's also been instances where like this misinformation, and again, this is like small scale, where it's like Ben & Jerry's versus Barnes & Noble, like doesn't really matter type of stuff. But like I've seen YouTubers before, and this was an era of YouTube where like these YouTubers would go into this fake like beef with each other. And like it would go back and forth of being like, I'm on Jake Paul's side, and then it's like, I am on Christina P's side. And then and they would make videos bashing each other left and right, just creating these lies. But like under the surface, they're just in constant like contact with each other, like being like, okay, what should we say next? Like they're actually just like friends, and they're just boosting each other's views up and up so they can get like higher and further in their career, which kind of a crazy time to. And sadly, I don't want to be that guy, but I was that guy. There was this one YouTube influencer. His name was like Jack Doherty, and he made a video, and he had like 3 million followers at the time. And this is just proof that it works, and I feel bad that I did it now, but I was just like, dude, Jack is terrible. Like, he for sure shouldn't be doing what he was doing to that McDonald's worker. And well, that part was true. He should not have done that. But in turn, I got like so many of Jack's followers to like completely bash me in the comments. But I was like, yeah, I ended up getting like 50 subscribers from it. Should have ended up critiquing more people from that, but from that though, I was like, wow, it really does work that like just random beef saying like that you don't like someone really does like bring you up in the world. In YouTube, don't, all right, yeah, that's it.
So kind of along that vein, do you think that certain content creators find it helpful to spread false information for views and popularity? Do you have any examples?
Yeah, you go. There you go.
Do you remember the James Charles and Shane Dawson and
yeah.
that other beauty guru? That was like the only thing people talked about for like weeks. I don't even remember what it was really about, but I saw so many tweets being like, I've never heard of this beauty guru, and that video has so many millions of views, and everybody was talking about it. So they definitely, I don't know if they were all like in cahoots with planning that, but it definitely works. More so on YouTube, I think. I don't see a lot of true beef with TikTokers. It's mostly just like making fun of other TikTokers.
You don't have any other like cat rivals or
Some people don't. I've gotten hate comments before, but oh, and if your cat is like overweight, they will destroy you. Like the TikTok vets will like yell at you. And they're all like 8. But like, if there's I'm like mutuals with a lot of other cat accounts, and if they show them just like only serving them dry food instead of wet food because their actual vet told them to, so many people in the comments will be like, that's bad. And just, anyways, that's a completely different topic, but I think on YouTube especially, it definitely helps to just spread misinformation about each other, and that'll boost you up, and it has boosted you up a long time ago. But I don't see a lot of that anymore. Now it's mostly just commenters, like you said, Curtis Connor and Danny and Drew are the biggest ones, and my cat was in the Danny Gonzalez video, in fact. But yeah, I don't see a lot of it, but it definitely works, so I wouldn't be surprised if I see it again soon.
So I think the example of Shane Dawson and James Charles and stuff like that is a very extreme example because they were the top of YouTube. They were, like, even if they were to have beef like that and people didn't trust them anymore, people would still buy their merch, people would still buy everything they're putting out there, and they'd still have a sustainable career because their numbers were so large. But I think for like 99% of the platform, I would argue that that does not work to spread misinformation because you don't have an audience that large that is so gung-ho for you. So if you're spreading misinformation and you are not at that extreme level of fame, then all it's going to do is harm you because you might get a few views on a video, but it's just going to make people distrust you overall. And as a social media content creator, your whole job is to make money through brands trusting you and through people trusting you enough to buy your product and all that other stuff. And if you're not able to not able to create an audience that will trust you to do those things, then it's essentially worthless and it won't become a career for you, and it'll just be you working towards making this misinformation content that leads you nowhere. So that's my take.
Yeah, I would say that I agree with that to the extent of like the certain niches of like content. So like for instance, like if you're making family friendly like content on interior design and stuff like that, I probably wouldn't go after other interior designers. But like one of my favorite eras of YouTube was like people would make diss tracks on each other, and I've tried my hand at it, and it was pretty fun. I got a decent amount of views for it. And so like that side of it, it's like that's like your representation, like that's your gimmick, is that you're kind of like the like the bad boy, you know, like, and like there are like, I'm not talking about personal experience, but like I've followed hundreds and hundreds of influencers and YouTubers that like, that's like their thing, is that they're edgy, and there are still companies that like understand that, and like maybe not be, you might not be sponsored by the family friendly, bless you, you may not be sponsored by like the family friendly brands, but like the brands that understand like your gimmick and stuff like that. Like I still think even if you are going after certain people, like if that's like your thing, I think there's still like a market for you for that, at least from what I have seen.
Awesome. So before we get into the Q&A, we're gonna invite Professor Randall Livingstone to offer some closing remarks on the information that we just heard.
I was talking to a friend about doing this over the weekend, and he said after talking after them, I'm the wet blanket. So I'm the wet blanket today. It's amazing to hear your experiences, and certainly creators and people who are dealing with these platforms as creators know these platforms better than I do, and people who study them from the outside. So there's a lot of different sort of dynamics to understanding what's going on social media these days, and especially with these new, seemingly more advanced algorithms like on TikTok. A few of you, I think, mentioned like the algorithm knows, or I forget, maybe Megan, you said that, and I think we just, as we hear about these experiences, we wanna demystify the technology a little bit to understand what's going on, because I feel like a lot of times we sort of just say, oh, that's like, it works and it's amazing. There's somebody who studies algorithms named Tarleton Gillespie, who says the broad public sort of sees this technology as magic, almost like in other centuries when you thought the world worked according to magic, and we don't sort of take the time to try to understand what's going on. Now, Foster's in the class with me where we're trying to understand algorithms, and we know that these companies, which are for-profit companies operating, at least in this country, with very little regulation, don't have to tell us much. And they don't often tell us much, except for maybe creators who they do kind of let in because they want you to succeed. We want to think about like, well, can we find out things about this? And you had mentioned showing your face at the beginning of a video. There are different, I was on YouTube looking at people who are experts at optimizing how to get views on TikTok, and there were all sorts of different metrics they were talking about. I don't know if any of you have heard this, but you should use a song that's already trending, but only a song that's already in more than 5,000 videos, but less than 500,000 videos, or more than 1 million videos. Because less than 5,000 videos means it's not going anywhere, and if it stalls between 500,000 and 1 million, it's not going anywhere. So like people are selling themselves as influencers to make other people influencers, and they're trying to demystify this algorithm, which we don't know a lot about. The New York Times last year did get a leaked document, an internal document, that sort of went over what I think the panelists were saying, that watch time really is key, right? They want people watching the videos, and they want them watching it as much as possible through the whole video. But there was a researcher at UC San Diego who sort of took those documents and was really trying to figure out from a computer science perspective, like, what's different about TikTok? Or why is TikTok seem like it's so great at figuring us out? And he really didn't think it was much different than YouTube and these other platforms, except for the fact that we are finding almost all of our TikTok videos through the algorithm on TikTok. On YouTube, I think the latest numbers are like about 70% of videos are from the recommended videos, and on TikTok it's 95%. So this is sort of the first platform that we've all said, okay, machine, you're going to give us what we want, right? It's not who we're following and the friends as much as what the algorithm is going to give us. And it's sort of just that confluence of a lot of people, a lot of data, and us trusting the algorithm to figure us out has led it to be so personalized, amazingly personalized. The Wall Street Journal found that if you really test it and you go for one thing, it'll figure you out in like 2 hours. And so it's just sort of another thing, another way to talk about this. You all have this sort of inside view of how to make a career out of it. You're all participating in this cultural economy, which is awesome and is what like really impresses me and is interesting to me. And I think on this note of misinformation, we just sort of have to think these are programs that are written by programmers and for-profit companies that have agendas, right? And some of their agenda is to make money and some is to promote certain creators, and it's not magic. And I just sort of always want to stress, right? It's not magic. Some, people know how this works, and we as consumers want to have that in the back of our mind as we're watching the cat videos, which are amazing. The one where the cat's balancing on the top of the door is just, that's magic to me. That's magic.
Participated in this information.
Oh! Don't tell me that. See, sometimes I just want it to be magic.
She is on the door.
Did you put her there?
My brother put her up there. But she loves it. When we hold her and when we're next to her door, she'll be leaving and try to get her to sit. Get up her, you know what I'm trying to say. But yeah, she likes being outdoors, but she can't do it herself. She's an old lady. But yeah, but everybody's like.
I'm gonna pretend you didn't say that and be amazed. Thank you all for doing this today. I've learned a lot. I don't know half the names that you just mentioned, but I learned a lot about what's going on. And I hope everybody has some great questions.
Thank you.
Posting on different times of the day on TikTok. And so I was curious about that because I'm no influencer, but I make some videos on TikTok, and I found that a couple weeks ago I was posting videos that were getting like 3,000 views versus like last week posted videos that got 80. And like, why did that happen? Because that's not, I feel like, not on my end. That feels like it's on the algorithm end, and I don't expect you guys to be algorithm experts, so I wonder if you have any insight on that. And like when you post videos, if there's a difference.
Yeah, so like I had mentioned earlier, I have like a team at TikTok that we have monthly meetings and talk about performance and everything. And it doesn't matter. The time of the day doesn't matter. I think typically it's good practice because your videos will likely be pushed to people who are geographically closer to you first. So if you're thinking about the times of the day that they would be available, that's something to think about. But in the grand scheme of things, you want to reach more than just the people who are geographically close to you. So posting at any time of the day, even if you switch it up all the time, will reach new audiences at different times who are using TikTok at different times. So it doesn't necessarily matter, I would say.
I have a different experience. For some reason, it might be a coincidence, but 1 p.m. is the magic time, at least for cat videos. Maybe it's just but I posted the same video. I did like an experiment one time. I posted the same video at 1 p.m., then at 11 a.m., then at 5 p.m. Every time I post at 5 p.m., it gets nothing. I don't know why. But 1 p.m., they all like blow up within a half hour. And then I post the same video like an hour later. It's either way slower or it doesn't get any traction at all. It's so weird. It could be a coincidence, but it's a weird coincidence. But that's what I found with it.
I was hoping you could tell us a little bit more about your team with TikTok and so is it like a social media manager, just what people are at play in that sort of situation?
Yeah, so I have a management company that emailed me a long time ago. So they manage all of my connections with brands and stuff. But when you grow on a platform, then the people who work at the platform will then reach out to you and they want to give you a rep. So I have reps on all of the platforms and they will just check in. So that way, we mentioned earlier how your videos go under review. So if my video is under review for too long, I can just shoot a text to my TikTok rep and she will then push it out so it's not under review anymore. Or she'll explain to me why that would have happened with my video. Or just you have those touchdown meetings every once in a while to talk about performance and talk about what you could do better to grow your audience and everything like that. So it's just kind of like a perk, I guess, that comes with it. But yeah, so I have a team for each social media platform, and then I have my personal team that helps me deal with emails and stuff like that. And then I have my personal team like Dylan, where we create the content. So yeah.
the actual TikTok app, or do you use a different software beforehand?
For me, I rely on the text-to-speech thing, so it's mostly TikTok, but sometimes if there's some trend that relies on getting things like perfectly on beat with the music, it's really hard for me to do that on TikTok, so I'll just do another app. I use InShot a lot, but it's not like hardcore editing. It's like, it's just another editing app.
So for me, most of my content is voiceover. So I'll usually actually record my voiceover in TikTok, just because TikTok has the software in it that like makes it a clearer voiceover than if I was to like use any other thing on my phone. And then I edit it outside the app in Splice, just because when you do a voiceover in TikTok, there's like little gaps and pauses and the breaths, and you don't want that. So I edit that outside of the app in an app called Splice, and then I put it all together on TikTok.
I use TikTok. No.
Well, go for your YouTube videos.
I originally when I didn't really know what Premiere was, I used just iMovie for like my very first videos and skits and stuff. But then I went to school and I learned about Premiere Pro for Adobe, and now I use that 24/7. So.
I have a question. So it's about age. And when Facebook first came out, it was for young people. And then older people got on Facebook, and then young people went. And then Instagram came out for young people, and then older people went on, and younger people went. So now TikTok, the audience for TikTok is like 20 to 29 or something like that. It's very young. So I'm a creator, but I'm very uncomfortable going on TikTok because I feel like I'm crashing your party. You know, seriously. So you're all very young people, and so it may not quite resonate with you what I'm saying. But how do you feel if you see older people on TikTok? Do you know what I mean? Because it's like this is your gig. So yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm interested in that.
So that's actually really interesting. I was trying to figure out one of the questions to work this in, but you really asked it. So, for instance, on YouTube, and again, I've been on there for such a long time, so I've seen I've been saying like these eras of YouTube. And so usually what would happen, and it starts with like, for instance, when I started out on watching YouTube, it was all gaming content. And so all of these gaming creators would be probably like 30 years old or so, and the demographic and the age of the people who would watch that, like those creators, were like 13 or like 12 years old. Like I never really picked up on that until later, like a few years later and stuff. But then I look back at these creators that I used to watch, and all of them are completely gone from when I was like 13 or so, because now we've grown to be somewhat competent, and we're like, we don't really want to watch these creators anymore, because like the stuff that they used to do that we found hilarious is just like, now we're like, wow, that was really childish actually. And so now there's this whole new era of these like 30-year-olds or so that like now these 13-year-olds are watching, and in about 6 years, I will bet you money that those guys will be washed up and out. And so, for instance, for me, most of the people that I watch on like TikTok and YouTube, they're like 40, 50 years old or so. Like they're not people, because it's almost like, and I wish this wasn't the case, but it's almost like if I'm watching someone that's my age on YouTube or TikTok, it's like a jealousy thing of like, like I don't really want to watch them because they're doing what I wish I could do but better. And so you look at someone who, at least for me, like I watch these creators that I almost consider like authority to me, like they're still like older than me, and they have stuff that they know that I don't, so I'm interested in watching them. So, and that's more YouTube side of it, but for TikTok, like I've seen stuff like that with that as well. Like, but I feel like on TikTok, at least for what I know, which is like commentary stuff, I don't see as many commentary things on YouTube, or on TikTok, I should say. So I'm intrigued to hear what they think about the TikTok stuff.
I think that TikTok is like growing extremely rapidly, and like even just 2 years ago, I refused to download the app because I thought I was too old for it. So I think it's just going to get better over time, but I think there's an audience for everything, and even my personal demographic is like mostly age 20 to like age 40 is like women, because I do like the more wholesome, family-friendly interior design content. So it's just continually growing, and I think when you post your content, it will go to the people who are interested in it regardless. And there are older people on the app, they're just not always the people who are posting the most, but they're there and they'll watch it.
I've found actually a lot of older creators on TikTok. There's one I follow, I think her name is Devin, and she's like 70 and she makes hilarious content of her just like talking because she's funny. There are like creators of any age on TikTok that I've noticed, but like you said, I think most YouTubers are within the same couple of years of each other, and I think on YouTube there are very few YouTubers that like peaked in 2013 who have the same audience that they did in 2013. I think if they have an audience at all, most of them are doing other things now. It's another wave of like 14, 15-year-olds. I can think of like 2 that probably have the same audience they did all those years ago. But with TikTok, I really think it doesn't matter your age at all, and if you're funny or talented or whatever you do, it'll find an audience for you and you can create a following. I think it's easy to get a broad age variety with the content you make. Like mine, I get like 6-year-olds and 60-year-olds. Like it just depends. I think so many people are on the app, and I also think the pandemic played a huge part in that, because a lot of people were still like, I'm not downloading TikTok, it's a kids app, and then we were locked in our homes for a while. So
Some of us destroyed our homes.
Yeah. Awesome. We'll take like 1 or 2 more questions.
This is kind of more in regards to Emily's account, but you do a lot more series-based, like with the bathroom and the laundry room renovation. In terms of that, do you feel like you get more subscribers you are following when you do series? And then on top of that too, I know when you released laundry room, how you were like final results and reaction on my YouTube. Did you see a large switch in your views from your YouTube account off that like 1 series?
So I stopped doing that because of hate, but yes, series do help, but you also get a drop off after a series. Like when the series is over, there's a lot of people who were just watching because they wanted to see the end result or they wanted to see the person's reaction. So I do enjoy doing series because it lends really well with renovation content, because I'm always renovating for people and then they come with a reaction, and that is the series. So I do those, but I don't do them solely as my only content, because then my viewers would just be going up and down all the time. So I also mix in more of the personal content. I mix in just like random one-off DIY projects in one video, so that way people will watch that and be like, oh, I want more of that too. And yes, I did used to do my reveals specifically on YouTube, but I do not do that anymore because the internet's mean.
Harrison, last question.
What influenced you guys to become influencers?
I just don't like being on camera, so I got a TikTok and I was like, I'm not going to make content, and then my cat walked in and I made a video of my cat. And it just kept on going, and it was just for fun. And then one of them got over 100,000 likes, and this was still when I was just doing whatever trends were going on, and I would just take a popular trend and think, how do I involve my cats in this? And I would just do that. So it's kind of just luck in having cats and finding an audience that loves cats.
So I have like a whole story. I graduated, had a job, lost the job because it was the pandemic and everything. So I was just at home and I downloaded TikTok, obviously, like everyone did, and I was bored. And I was like in school, like the go-getter, like I needed to get projects done, I needed to do all of that, and so I was like itching for something to do. So I renovated my parents' house, and I didn't necessarily want to be a social media person. Like, I didn't want that to be my career, but I wanted like the motivation of like my friends and family who were following me to like follow along and like keep me motivated to keep going. So I didn't even, like, my first few videos, I didn't even show my face. I was just showing the house. I was like, I'm gonna renovate this. But then I think within like the first couple days of posting that, I had 1 million followers, and I was like, great, well now this is my life. So I'm just gonna keep doing this and posting this type of content, and that's kind of how it happened. Before all of this, I was not a social media person. I'd probably post on my personal Instagram like once every 2 months. And it still kind of makes me uncomfortable to film myself, but I do it.
So I'm the opposite. I love being on camera. I love talking a lot. And so I would say, like, when I was like 13, those YouTubers that like I would watch, Bayesian Canadian, he was my #1, playing Minecraft, and like watching just him perform, and like I always hear people, like mostly adults, talk about how like it's a crazy concept of watching another person play a video game. I love it. That's just what I grew up on, and like I don't understand how they don't understand, and so it'll just always be this constant back and forth with that. But like I always wanted to try to make content that made me feel the way I did back then, as well as like I just always have these just random dumb jokes in my head that I just want to like put out there, and so I would do skits and stuff like that. And then actually, weirdly enough, with my Four Souls channel, xFossi23, the only reason I made that actually was because I was really upset that there was no Four Souls content. And so the goal was that I would make like a lot of content for then me to be able to forget what I made so I could go and watch the content that I made. And I actually the other day watched one of my old videos, and I was like, what? No way, that's awesome. I'm like, wow, he's so funny. But yeah, that's the inspiration for me.
Awesome. Thank you everyone for coming. If you're interested in learning more about the things we talked about today, feel free to follow Nilak on social media. I'll write it on the board, but it's at ECNewsLit on Instagram and at ECNewsLit1 on Twitter. And feel free to follow these guys. Their social media is on the board as well. So yes, thank you for coming.